Ladies and mental gen, it has literally been 1000 years since I last uploaded a video. That is because, you see, I was dead. And in the afterlife I met many interesting fellows and creatures, and upon my return to the corporeal world of the living, they wanted me to share the stories of only the best of them. So without much further ado, welcome to the list of top 10 zombies, or to be politically correct, living impaired. Let's kick it off with number 10. Getting spooky right off the bat, we have a representative of one of the most annoying, infuriating, mind-numbingly and ass-staringly boring archetypes to play against, that being Ghostrick Skeleton. In one of my previous videos I mentioned Needleworm to be one of the best milk cards in the game, but Skeleton might just be the best one. If you aren't familiar with the archetype, and trust me, you're saving yourself quite a bit of sanity if that's the case, Ghostricks are focused on flipping themselves face down each turn and then getting their effects activated when they're flipped face up. Skeleton's effect is that when he's flipped face up, he mills the opponent's deck by the number of Ghostrick monsters you control. Oh, but he doesn't send them to the graveyard, no, that would actually benefit some decks. Instead, this little shit straight up banishes them face down, meaning those cards are never, ever, under any circumstances, retrievable. This tiny rattling murder machine can potentially wipe 5 cards from your opponent's deck per turn if you don't break and if the opponent doesn't scoop as soon as they see they're playing against Ghostricks. It's one of those cards you like playing but can't for the love of your life stand going up against. So yeah, I think that's good enough for a number 10 spot. The ones among you who are easily spooked should probably cover their eyes right now because we have yet another skeleton representative among our ranks. So bow before your king of the Skull Servants. Skull Servants. They laughed at them, called them names, cast them out of the society, but when this level 1 monster showed up on the field swinging for 6000 damage per attack and generally giving everyone a bad time, Skull Servants regained all of their, admittedly until then, non-existent glory. They never really reached meta status during their lifetime, but made for a very fun OTK deck that also happened to have quite a few very good support cards made for it. When I was a kid, Skull Servants had 300 attack, but then they had 6000 attack. But now Deskbot 009 has 46,000 attack. Okay, I don't really know where I'm going with this joke, so let's just head to number 8. So this creature might just have the most confusing name in regards to the card art, because Goblin Zombie doesn't look anything like a goblin, let alone a zombie. Actually, it just looks like armored shadow ghoul with a sword. But hey, who cares about art quality when you've got an effect this sweet? When he deals battle damage, you mill 1 card from the top of the opponent's deck. That's neat and all, but the real kicker is the second effect. When he's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can search out any zombie type monster with 1200 or less defense from your deck. And the great thing about this is that most relevant zombie type monsters have approximately 0 defense, which is actually less than 1200. The phrase less is more definitely works in favor of Goblin Zombie, since this is an assured staple in pretty much all zombie focused decks. And John Jafari doesn't like him.
Ew! I like them! I like goblins! Ah!
Next up is a part of a series I wish the game had expanded upon, since there was quite a bit of potential for some really cool, to call them that way, evolutions of existing monsters, that being Doom Kaiser Dragon Assault Mode. If you aren't familiar, Assault Mode monsters are summoned from your main deck by using the trap card Assault Mode Activate on the appropriate synchro monster you control, resulting in a monster that's usually an upgraded version of it. While the Synchro Doom Kaiser wasn't too good of a card and only really worked in tandem with Zombie World, the utility brought in by his Assault Mode counterpart is astounding. Upon its summon, you can special summon any number of zombies from either player's graveyard. True, their effects are negated and they die during the end phase, but this effect alone will either secure you an OTK or enable several strong synchro plays. If you're lucky enough to bring out Doom Kaiser in your Synchro Zombie deck, you'll most likely be equally able to splash in his Assault Mode version and start swarming the field with zombies. Considering the fact that you'll probably have old Doom Kaiser in the graveyard along with the Plaguespreader zombie, that's already a guaranteed level 8 synchro. And with a huge 2900 body, Super Doom Kaiser is a fearsome force to face in general. It also helps that upon his death, the Synchro Doom Kaiser gets revived, potentially letting you do a nice comeback. At number 6 we have the fabulous Vampire Lord. Haha, I am from country where people speak like this. Right, anyway, yes, Vampire Lord, as an old-ass representative of the sadly defunct vampire archetype, is probably the best example of what exactly the archetype does. When he deals battle damage, you choose one card type, that being monster, spell or trap, and the opponent is forced to send one card of such type from their deck to the graveyard. This was particularly devastating those 10 billion years ago when the card was widely played, and while it's not nearly as useful nowadays, it's supported by the rest of the vampire archetype, most notably Vampire Kingdom. During damage calculation, it gives vampires a 500 attack boost, and whenever they pull a card from the opponent's deck into the graveyard, it lets you destroy one card on the field at the cost of sending one vampire from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If you're smart, you'll send Vampire Sorcerer, and if you're stupid, you'll send Vampire Grace, but I digress. Vampire Lord probably wouldn't be on the list if not for his usefulness around the GOAT format era, but seeing how I tend to count in a card's legacy in these videos, this fabulous asshole definitely deserves a spot. Once upon a time, Konami released a bunch of attribute searchers, cards that, when destroyed by battle, would special summon a monster of their attribute with 1500 attack or less from the deck. Significantly less represented were type searchers, of which there are approximately 2, Howling Insect for insects, and our official number 5, Pyramid Turtle for zombies. When destroyed by battle, it allows you to special summon any zombie monster from your deck with 2000 defense or less. This, in my opinion, is the best of the aforementioned searchers, mostly because of the fact that not only it can summon itself, because the others can do so as well, but it also covers an absolutely insane amount of monsters. Zombie types aren't exactly known for their amazing defense values, mostly due to the fact that a lot of them are corpses or skeletons, so Pyramid Turtle is, in my opinion, one of the best tutors in the game. It's a bit of a problem that the card is sorta slow nowadays because it takes a whole turn and there's tons of non-battle removal options available, but still, the potential to search your entire deck for a monster you need immediately and place it on the field is nothing to ignore. Also, I think its design is beautiful because I love Egypt and
I like turtles.
At number 4 we have a horse-headed beast taken straight from Chinese mythology, that being Mizuki. His effect is pretty simple. You can banish him from the graveyard to special summon a zombie monster from the graveyard. There's not much else to tell here, so I'll keep it short. Zombies tend to be in the graveyard, cause, you know, they're zombies. So in this case, Foolish Burial turns into a zombie-specific monster reborn, because you can easily just send Mizuki to the graveyard and then banish him to revive whichever decomposing threat you feel like. There's no level or attack restrictions attached to this one, just get it out of the graveyard and you got yourself a brand new zombie. On top of it all, he also has decent attack for level 4, is a level 4 so it enables Xyz plays, it's just a great card all around and a definite staple in most zombie decks. There, I kept it short, that was what, like 45 seconds? I'm a man of my word, what can I say? Oh boy! Time for top 3 zombies. You'll find these guys in probably 95% zombie decks, no exaggeration. So instead of talking about zombie-specific decks, the thing that would make sense, here's a flashback to Teledad with Plaguespreader Zombie. Ah yes, the ugly yet beautiful face of both Teledad and Zombie Synchro, the level 2 tuner capable of reviving itself by returning a card from your hand to the top of the deck. Another extremely simple yet amazingly useful effect. The possibilities are seemingly endless with this thing due to the amount of utility it offers. He was seen running rampant in Diamond Dew turbo builds, allowing you to resummon him almost without a cost due to the Destiny Heroes effect, and then proceeding to go into a synchro like Goyo Guardian, Bryonak, or even higher level ones like Stardust Dragon or Darkstrike Fighter. A very good friend with Foolish Burial, most of the time he secures at least a level 6 synchro, or even a rank 2 Xyz if you like using conventional cards for some unconventional means. Since I previously mentioned Teledad, it would be a shame not to praise the possible graveyard management you could perform with Plaguespreader to let Big Daddy himself come out on the field, as well as the Dark Monster engine including Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher, which were used to set up your Plaguespreader plays. Call him a play spreader if you will. He also has a bunch of exclusive synchros, but nobody really uses those outside of Shiranui, and also a younger brother nobody really remembers. Mostly because the firstborn is just way too good. Forever relevant in zombie decks, and of course, in our hearts. Just don't let him get too close to the heart, cause he probably carries all kinds of HIV. So, remember how I mentioned zombies love being in the graveyard? That place is basically a waiting booth for them. They know they're gonna get out sooner or later, and the person handing out the tickets at the entrance is none other than Zombie Master. Once per turn you can discard a monster to special summon a level 4 or lower zombie type monster from either player's graveyard. Let me translate that. Once per turn you can go +2. Not much more to it. Send Plaguespreader or Mizuki to the graveyard, revive something with Master's effect, get something else off of what you just discarded, recycle shit going to Synchros or rank 4 Xyz. I don't really know what else to say here other than holy shit you can do a lot of stuff with this guy. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. You can discard any monster, not just zombies, meaning you can splash this guy into anything zombies would usually go into, for example stuff like Zombie Sworn. So yeah, graveyard management is one of the things zombies are particularly good at, and Zombie Master showcases the best elements of that. It's also a very nice bonus that he kinda looks like something out of Gorillas. The only downside I could point out with this card is that he is not, in fact, a tuner, which would admittedly make him a bit too good. So, before we head to number 1, let's talk about some zombies that didn't quite reach the Grave of Saints, but came very close. Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. Overall an amazing card, but him being zombie type isn't really relevant to anything, he might as well have been a fiend. Kasha for having a hilariously awesome design and an effect that can result in a very unique form of zombie OTK, and Necroface for the silly interaction it has with plenty of banishing cards such as Inferno Tempest. If someone had told me that an effect retrain of 3-legged zombies would be one of the strongest type-specific support cards of all time, I would have asked them, what the fuck is 3-legged zombies? Apparently it was a normal monster Konami liked so much that they made it into the best zombie support monster of all time, Unizombie. This card fully encompasses two things zombies are famous for, synchros and graveyard control. It's a level 3 zombie tuner with the following effect. Once per turn you can discard a card and increase the level of a monster on the field by 1. Also once per turn you can send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard to increase the level of a monster on the field again by 1, but if you do this, only zombies can attack this turn. So I don't think I need to mention Mizuki or Plaguespreader again, even though I just did, but this card just kicks all imaginable kinds of ass. It's a tuner with a very good level, it sends zombies to the waiting booth not only from the hand but from the deck as well, which is probably the best thing about it. If the hand effect was just something you could do twice per turn, it would be a nice card but nothing really special. But the way it is right now, it's the ultimate first turn playmaker and a fantastic top deck. In the age dominated entirely by archetypes, it's nice to see some generic type support being as good as Unizombie. It's also one of the cards that makes sure Nui not completely dead on arrival, so that's always nice. I look forward to the improbable, but Konami might just keep up the fantastic zombie support in the years to come, if these cards are any indication of that. Ladies and Mental Gen, thank you for watching Ranked and Yu-Gi-Oh! And I wish you all a happy Valentine's Day with your favorite zombie. Remember, it's not on the outside that matters, but on the inside. Even though most zombies are, in fact, empty on the inside. And do remember to subscribe.